get it, right? Also, you guys have to keep in mind for the next year, at least, the Pro is going to be the most powerful gaming console available until the Scorpio launches, and I'm not including PC. Okay? So if you're a console player and you want to play your content at the highest resolution with the best frame rate possible, you want to do PlayStation VR, you want to consume 4K content as far as, you know, your gaming and stuff and have it look close to what you would expect it to.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go with the PlayStation Pro because it's, again, the strongest console at the moment.
Yeah, on paper.
On paper.
On paper.
Okay, so until we actually get the thing in our hands, that could be something different. Now, everything that I've seen, every article that I've read of people who've actually got a chance to play it at the conference says that everything looks amazing. They're like, yes, everything looks great, but it's not one of those jumps from like the PS3 to the PS4.
Yeah.
It's more of a, literally what everyone was calling it, a PlayStation 4.5.
Okay, yeah.
It's upgraded to the standards of where it should be right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get a Pro because
I'm probably gonna get one.
I'm a moron and I'm gonna buy it. But that does not mean that I'm not pissed off at the things that Sony have screwed up with.
Yeah.
I'm not pissed off at the fact that they didn't take the opportunity to say, hey, Microsoft, guess what? We're going to one-up you with the hardware in the console.
Yeah.
And the only redeeming factor of this, besides the jump in power, is the fact that it's going to cost $400, which is the price of the original PS4.
Well, yeah, there's that. And realistically speaking, they could have easily just announced the Slim, announced the HDR software update, and just left that at that, and just pushed back the Pro, because no one knew when it was coming out. It was just rumored to come out when Scorpio comes out, and no one knows when Scorpio's coming out.
And, I mean, they're saying next holiday season, right, for the Scorpio, so it's like, all right, again, you have a year, Sony. You have a year. You could have preemptively come out and said, hey, man, here's the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it has 6 teraflops of power and a Blu-ray player and all, and 4K Blu-ray player. And all, but instead, no, you decided to be stubborn. Which, I mean, I have to admit, I have to respect them for sticking to their guns.
Well, it does seem like something she said a long time ago, where this seems like it was planned for a while, long before mention of Scorpio. So they just executed it according to that schedule, and it's sad because it's the same mistake that Microsoft made years ago when we were like, oh my god, Sony just trumped them hard. Like, same exact mistake of, this is what we're doing and we're sticking to it.
Yep. And Microsoft is now, have you seen the tweets? Microsoft is going in. They're like, oh, the only console with 4K Blu-ray playback, and the most reliable and most stable network around for gaming, and it's all true.
Yeah.
It's all true. You know what I mean? Like, you can't knock the fact that right now, Microsoft is sitting in a great position.
They are.
Until the 4K until
Scorpio?
the Pro comes out, and we're able to say, you know what? This is great.
I mean, either way, this change, this turn of events, is actually really good for the console industry, because I was a little nervous that with the lead that Sony had this generation, if it kept on going like that, then we're going to see some weird things happening in the future.
Right.
Because there has to be a back and forth to get change.
Well, you see, my qualm, yes, I said qualm, right now, is that Sony, it's almost like you had everything, you were doing everything right with your PS4. You did everything right with the launch. You're doing everything right. Well, you're beginning to do, you started doing everything right as far as marketing and stuff like that goes. Yeah. They still suck with the marketing. And I honestly thought that they were getting better with their network.
It has been a lot more stable.
It's better, but every week,
that maintenance.
when it's like, oh, you can't do anything because it's maintenance. All these games require you to be online. Like Sony, come on, seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fix your damn network.
Or schedule it, if you can, opposing by timeline, like by time zone. Sorry.
This is the thing about Xbox and Microsoft. Their service is almost impeccable. I know you had issues with them. You had issues with them on the network side. I had issues with them on the hardware side because I went through many Xboxes.
Just the one. Just the one.
Yeah.
That stupid spring, and then it's not under warranty, and that whole fiasco, and then live, and But I always tell people this. When Sony takes the lead on hardware, and you go, oh my god, they have this, and it's the quality, blah, 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 blah. They're a hardware company.
Right.
Sony only makes electronics.
Right.
Microsoft is a software company. So networking, software issues, that's what they do. That's what their specialty is.
Right.
So it's just, to compare the two on each of those fronts, it's a little bit hard to do a direct comparison.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. For them being such a great hardware company, they dropped the ball with the Pro. They dropped the ball with the Pro. And I'm upset about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna get it. But I'm upset about it because, like, somebody brought it up the other day. Oh, it has an AMD chipset still. Who cares? All right, if it has an AMD chipset, I'm gonna tell you why. Again, this is a consumer. This is a mass-produced product.
Yeah,
that's my son crying in the background. Excuse
he wants to be on the show.
Yeah, she's upstairs trying to put him to sleep. Anyway, this is a mass-produced product. So, of course, you want to cut costs. And I think that's one of the reasons why it doesn't have the 4K thing in it, to cut back on costs. But I would have rather paid $450 and had that Blu-ray drive than $400 and not have it. I digress. Damn it, Sony. You're such a great... Again, it just pisses me off that you didn't stop at one point, at any point, since June or early July, when Microsoft came out and said, this is what the Scorpio is going to be, and they started flaunting it in your face that this is going to be the most powerful console, and you still came out and said, hey, here's the PlayStation Pro, and it's less powerful.
The entire premise behind
the Scorpio.
The Pro. No, the Pro. Remember, the initial premise was they're moving towards 3D, right? To have that extra power and capability.
Well,
VR, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think they were actually way ahead of where we thought they were when they announced it? Like, this has been in the works? Because remember, that idea of this has all been planned.
I think what happened was, because
if you're already starting to do stuff, at a certain point, it's too late to say.
I mean, look, Mark Cerny, who's the engineer, the guy, the architect of the PlayStation 4, he got up on stage and he said, essentially, we've been developing this since the inception of the since the release of the PS4, right? We wanted to deliver something that's going to be able to give you more content, which one means that on both ends, Microsoft and Sony, they knew, hey, this console generation as it is right now is underpowered and it's going to be short.
Yeah.
So when they decided, hey man, we're working on this Neo. Back in January, probably they're like, oh, we're going to kick Microsoft's ass. And then Microsoft came out in July and they said, hey, 6 teraflops, 1070. And Sony was just kind of, I guess, they were just kind of, well, we've already started it.
Yeah, because think about it. If they started it since the release, or were researching into it, doing the development since the release of PlayStation 4, after a certain amount of man hours, it's too late to change stuff. Because
the one thing that I think could have saved it and given it a different spin as far as this debacle this past week with the announcement is the 4K Blu-ray drive. I'm going to keep saying this because how
can you
just swap the damn drive out?
Include your own technology, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're giving anyone who just solely plays on the PlayStation, right? And they say, man, all right, yeah, I guess I got to have a 4 Pro if I want to do. You're giving them a reason to go buy Xbox One S because now you're saying, hey, if you want to play 4K, the best value for your buck is in One S.
Yeah.
You're gonna go out and buy a 4K Blu-ray player for $400 just to play a 4K Blu-ray. You're gonna buy an Xbox One S that has it built in, and you can play games.
True.
Exactly.
That is a good point. But to play devil's advocate some more, we know that there are certain parties that are already pushing well past 4K.
Of course.
Yes, I believe 8 or 16, somewhere.
Yeah, but we're way off from that.
We are way off from that. But do you think Sony was doing that holdout game as far as we don't know how long this fad is going to last? Until...
No, that'd be dumb because again, they own 4K Blu-ray technology.
Yeah, but again, when you match that with the price point, and you remember back when 3D was the thing.
Yeah. And they put that in the PS3 and it kind of flopped.
And yeah, I can tell you how many times I've used PlayStation 3D.
0.
Goose egg.
Well, okay. I'll say this. Right? I'm going to stop being such a douche towards the Pro. Because everyone else on the internet is just destroying it. They're like, oh, it's blah, and it's this, that, and the third.
Some people have good...
And they have reason to. But now, stop the fanboyism for a little bit and understand this. Mm-hmm. When you talk about Xbox Scorpio, it's not branded as the Xbox One Scorpio.
True.
It's branded as Xbox Scorpio. And they said pretty much this is our next-gen hardware. Yeah. Okay? It's the next Xbox One. So let's put that in a different category. Let's take it out of this generation space and put it over here. Okay. And then when you start talking about the PlayStation Neo, from the time the rumors started, it was known as a mid-cycle reset.
Basically, right? The PS4K or
4.5. So, but again, it's branded as the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's still a PS4, just with upgraded internals, right? So think of it as your phone. If you have an iPhone, what does Apple do to your butthole every year?
The S,
okay,
the Plus, like this.
You're like this, and they go, here's a new iPhone, and it's the same thing. We're just gonna make it waterproof this time, and we're gonna take away the earphone jack, right? Yeah. So Sony's kind of doing the same thing, right? And this is still in generation. Sony